What's up YouTube? Welcome to this Luke Cage video. Now, one of my first videos on this channel was about the upcoming show Luke Cage. Well, here we are. I have binged from 8 AM until I think it's about 9 PM here in the UK. All 13 hours I have binged. I've watched it, I've dissected it, I've made notes, and now we're here at the review and the breakdown of Luke Cage. So, just to start off, this will be a review and a breakdown. Easter eggs will be put into a separate video which will be going up tomorrow. So that'll be on my channel. If you're watching this like tomorrow, like Saturday, then it's already there, go watch it. But watch this video first. So I won't go too deep into detail on that just yet. But, is it good? Luke Cage. I'll start off all my reviews with, is it good? And well, the resounding factor is yes. Yes, it is. So we've had Daredevil, we've had Jessica Jones, we've had Daredevil Season 2, and now we've had Luke Cage. And then we've got Iron Fist himself coming to the small widescreen TV. So, well, it's setting up Iron Fist, kind of. But let's jump in. So, the story of Luke Cage, the origins were kind of messy. They didn't really make a lot of sense. The actual origin was just a very basic one, to say the least. Basically, Luke Cage went to prison with his bros, his gang, and came out a better man. So, this time, well, they've changed the origin story. So I don't want to give away too many spoilers, because there may be some of you who are actually watching the show, or interested in watching the show, and wondering if it's worth actually watching. But the origin has changed. It's changed from Luke Cage being a police officer into Seagate Prison, which is a very interesting thing, because Seagate Prison is the one-shot Marvel thing that they used to do. I don't know if they still do them, because I haven't seen any recently, but the one-shots were little kind of short clips. We had Chitauri Tech being taken over by some bank robbers. I think they were like kind of stick-up people. We also have got as well the Mandarin. So after the events of the whole actual Iron Man 3, we had the Mandarin go to prison, and he went to Seagate Prison, and we saw this in this little one-shot, this very short little movie thing that was on Thor the Dark World's DVD and Blu-ray release. And this is actually where, we're crazily, that Luke Cage went when he was in prison. And this is where his whole origin starts. He gets led into, or forced to be in, a underground fighting ring, and then gets experimented on to save his life. Which is interesting, because this is very pre-actual Captain America being thawed out, and this is a very similar thing to the Super Serum. So everyone's trying to replicate the Super Serum, which obviously we saw in Hulk. That's why he is how he is, and then we've seen it try to be used quite a lot to no avail. So this is a really cool Easter egg in the Marvel Universe. Now, I've got a theory about this, because the fact that I think all these shows are set just after Phase 2. Now, Phase 2, if you don't know or don't care, well, I don't know why you watch this if you don't care, but if you don't know, Phase 2 is just after the first Avengers Assemble film. Yes, it was called Avengers Assemble here in the UK. So, Avengers Assemble happened, and then the entire whole lot of New York was just under siege. And we've seen that a lot. We saw that a lot in Daredevil, it being rebuilt. That was a part of a little subplot storyline. Now, it seems like Harlem wasn't affected as much, because that is, if you don't know, you've got Midtown Manhattan, and then you've got all the way up here. You've got Harlem as well. So they weren't that affected, and you've got the guy trying to sell DVDs and home footage of the incident, which I believe would actually happen. So that is the timeline I think we're looking at for these Netflix shows, and it makes sense why Sokovia Accords and just that Civil War as well wasn't mentioned in this, but I think that is how they're getting away with it, not having to, because obviously the movies have a different schedule to the Netflix shows, of course, so that's how things work out. So it's cool seeing that be integrated. Now the whole show worked really, really well, and the soundtrack just complemented and made you feel just at home and set the tone for the entire show. We got to see Luke Cage. It's kind of like a re-origin story, kind of. We see him turn into the actual hero that everyone wants to be. On Jessica Jones, we only really got him using his powers. We didn't get the whole hero spiel that we were used to, and we didn't really get to see him as the Luke Cage that he is, and the Luke Cage that he really is now. And having it work really well, the pacing of the show was just fantastic, and we got to have essentially 3 villains. So we got Stokes' cousin, and also we got the main big baddie, the author of All Your Pain, the remake Blofeld ripoff of actual Willis Stryker, which you may know him obviously as Diamondback. So it's that kind of thing where, like in the recent James Bond film, which has completely gone from my mind, where it was the guy from your past setting you all up and ruining your life because he got jealous. So it's really interesting, and the end fight really did work very well. It reminded me of the end of Arrow Season 4. We got to see the hero fight so publicly and be so publicly adored. We got some very, very cool Easter eggs. Seems that Justin Hammer is not out for the count. We last saw him in Iron Man 2 being arrested. So if you don't remember him, that was the guy who is the rival to Tony Stark and had the rival to Stark Industries, Hammer. Well, I think it was Hammer, I can't remember the suffix for that. But it was cool seeing that be kind of like the catalyst, and it all came down to guns and cash rolls, everything around everyone, pretty much. And we got a Wu-Tang song in there as well, but highly edited, which I found very odd. They couldn't say the word fuck, but they can smash people's heads in. How weird is that? Doesn't make any sense. So, a lot of people wondering, is this going to be just gratuitous blaxploitation, etc.? No, it wasn't. It really did fit what it was and what it set out to be. It was a neighbourhood story. It was a community story. It was about people trying to save their own community, which I think everyone can really relate to, pretty much. And that is essentially what a lot of these superhero stories come down to. So the whole handling of that I thought was very, very good. Now, I do have one criticism. We last saw Luke Cage leave Jessica Jones. We have him heartbroken about his wife. That was mentioned in Jessica Jones. Now, he doesn't really mind about getting into the sack with anyone. So, first thing we see Misty Knight, he's banging her. And, well, that's that. And then we saw him at the end kiss night nurse Claire Temple, which I thought was a bit stupid. Now, him banging Misty Knight is going to be a bit awkward when he meets up with Danny Rand and the Heroes for Hire, which is going to be Season 2, and the Defenders join up because Misty Knight is a love interest of Iron Fist. So, yeah. And also, interestingly, Misty Knight does not have her cybernetic arm created by Tony Stark. So, we have room for Tony Stark to join in the Netflix shows, and I think that having someone like that in the show would help out quite a lot to ground it, even if it's just him giving a press conference and these guys just be standing or by the wayside, because that's how it would be. This is street level. And this whole story, I think that as a whole this show was just fantastic in what it set out to do. It set out to create a everyday hero. I mean, you've got Daredevil, who is essentially, I would say, a superhero, but on a smaller scale. Then you had Jessica Jones, who is just a PI and all that. And then you've got the guy with superpowers, who's just an everyday dude who loves hip-hop and wants to clear his name. And I think that Mike Colter did a fantastic job in playing the titular role. I love the fact that Power Man was mentioned, that was his original name. And I think that the characters of Stokes was acted perfection, pure perfection. And I thought the timing and pacing of having that arc pretty much wrapped up, and then having the whole revenge and the main story coming to light. And Diamondback was just fantastic. The character is updated. He used to use knives, and now he uses guns and Chitauri tech. And that Judas bullet was absolutely really cool. But I find it unbelievable that the whole of the police would be giving it and just shooting it willy-nilly. So next up, I'm going to be having my Easter egg video. I'm going to pretty much upload this, then make that and schedule that for tomorrow. So as always, please do drop a like, please do subscribe, and please do comment what your favourite part is. And I'll see you later. Goodbye.